Hello and welcome one and all to the second week of 2024 Phoenix World Championship. Greeting you from a warm and no longer sunny Dubai. We're at Dubai Autodrome this late evening under artificial lighting. We're welcoming our drivers to a brand new circuit for them, Dubai Autodrome. A very interesting circuit, lots of elevation changes and weird turns, slippery off tracks, and obviously lots of darkness, as this is going to be an evening race. The drivers are starting their qualifying runs now. Meanwhile, we have a little bit of time to discuss the current standings after week one. We've had one penalty assessed, and as a result we, I believe, did not have any substantial changes, but you can see the standings after week one on your screens now. Obviously McLaren team from Racing Team Intel is currently in the lead, and well, I don't think that's I was about to say I don't think that's gonna change, but obviously with different cars and different tracks, it all might change substantially as the season goes on. But as of now, we do have the American in the lead of the championship, and together with him, he's bringing his team all the way up top. Racing Team Intel 1 are the current leaders, and together with McLaren team in Team 1 is Southseeder. So these two are leading the championship currently, but obviously we still have quite a lot of racing to go left, and definitely lots and lots of opportunities to grab a change for the lead, and we do have a drop week, so everything can change. We're still waiting for the drivers to cross the start-finish line to complete their first timed laps and set some baseline times. I believe we do have 13 cars on grid today, so a 1 car improvement over the last race where we had 12 entries. Definitely glad to see consistently good numbers in the championship. Different cars, different machinery, different tactics, and different drivers all coming together. We're currently spectating the Latvian Gunses, the privateer McLaren entry, the 000, who I believe is closing in on the middle of a lap. He, I believe, was one of the first cars to get on track. So you saw the back straight, that'll be now turns 11 and now into the hairpin of 12. That signifies the end of a second sector, and you have a very short run in the third sector, just a couple of corners, but they're very spectacular. Left kink of turn 13, then a very hard uphill sweeping turn 14. Might hold you, but if you take a little bit too much, it might just throw you off the track. And after 15 you have a short run, and into the last corner 16 right-hander, and onto the start-finish straight. And let's see our first laps. Gunses 1:45.5 is the first baseline time, and we have more people streaming towards the start-finish, and the first times are set. Let's see our current leader, 46 flat, McLaren team, with his first lap. Not sure if it's traffic or something went wrong. He's pulling up, not continuing for now. Definitely more time to complete one good lap, as we have a 15-minute qualifying, a single session. Definitely will be interesting to see who is able to get that one good lap. Obviously an improvement for Gunses, as you remember in the first week. He had a very unfortunate result and had to start from 7th place, crawling his way up the standings as the time went on. So now we have 9 lap times, out of which 6 are valid. You see all the 6 invalid times currently on the leaderboard on the left hand side. We have invalid laps from both new entries, new team Nordfeathers Motorsport, it's White Striper and Spitfire GTR, both having invalid times on their first attempt. And I see, let's see, who else? Actually, the White Striper has a time on the board, my bad, so it was Spitfire, then it's Psychedelics and Framed Automotive, so these are the three cars that have set times, but their lap times have been deleted. So they will definitely have to go again to put a time on the board as we're crossing the halfway mark into our qualifying session. Gunses is currently with 45.5 leading the pack. A small off-track excursion for Kuke. And there we go, Spitfire and Psychedelics both with 47s on the board. And here comes not James with his first time lap 46.7, Nimedes 46.7 as well. Framed with 48.8, not the greatest of times, but still more opportunities to go. Very, very tight grid, you see, 46.7 for 3 cars, and 2 more cars at 47.1. Autodrome Racing with 45.5, almost matching the pole time, just 0.05 of a second behind. Great time from the Ferrari. We have 3 new cars on the grid, all 3 Russian entries. That's a little bit of a Russian takeover on the grid today. It's Autodrome Racing in the privateer Ferrari. Let's see if we can find a camera. Whoa! Some weird noises. I have no idea what that was. But yes, Autodrome Racing, the yellow privateer Ferrari, and then we have White Striper in a McLaren and a Spitfire in a Porsche Nordfeathers Motorsport with 2 different cars, very white, non-distinguished liveries. And let's see what the yellow Ferrari can do. Obviously the first lap was really good, but not as good as the pole time of the Latvian Gunses. Let's see if his second time lap is any better. So we have 6 minutes to go in qualifying, and as we've talked about the penalties in the first race in Sochi, there has been 1 penalty. As we have speculated, Framed Automotive and Marson had a collision at the end of a back straight, and it was a rear end for which Framed was assessed 5 penalty points, and as a result a 10-second time penalty, but the gap was larger than that, so no position changes, but obviously the penalties are getting harsher the more penalty points you get, so he will be in a precarious position throughout the rest of the championship and will have to behave. 45.6 the second time lap, no improvement from our second place car, and 5 minutes to go. Let's switch to our championship leader, McLaren Tim. We'll go to our onboard view on the back straight currently, find himself in 4th place, half a second behind the pole time, and you see on his onboard the delta is not being very generous. You see the Ferrari a little bit slidey at the exit of a hairpin. You would naturally want to extend the track, but it's incredibly dusty and the AstroTurf is very slippery, so they have to balance how much they want to extend and, well, how hard they're willing to push and how much they're willing to risk. This is a big point of contention for those cars. And very good exit of the penultimate sequence of turns for McLaren team. He finds himself in the green or almost matching his time early on the throttle, but I believe that would be another 46.1, so not improving on his time. For now we see not James maybe find himself a little bit lower than he would have wanted with 46.750. Not the greatest time from him for now, but he is in the final sector. Let's see if he improves. We have Autodrome Racing approaching the end of a lap. We'll look at his times and no improvement. And the next car is gonna be James crossing the line. And oh, hello there, 45.495. As I say, that's not the best lap from him. And the American Brit sets the pole time, beating Gunses by 0.05 of a second. Impressive lap from Not James. He goes up top with 3 minutes to go, so 2 timed laps for everybody involved once they cross the start-finish lap. Now we have one car that is yet to set a clean lap time, that is Cap, the teammate of our pole sitter currently. We'll have 2 more attempts to get a timed lap on the board. Let's see the response from Gunses, who's closing in on the end of his lap. That's not the best lap time, so he will not improve. And he will have to try again. Saltseeder at the end of a lap, car 55, the sister team of racing team Intel, pole sitter. Another Ferrari, and crossing the start-finish line, 46.3, not the most impressive of lap times. But behind him we have our championship leader, and we have a few cars. That's gonna be McLaren Team Nemedis and White Shepherd all behind one another. Let's see if anybody is able to improve in the slide draft train. No improvement from Tim. There we go, 45.7 from Scheipert, who accelerates to 4th position, 3/10 behind the leader. Autodrome Racing crosses the start-finish line, 45.9, really not a good time. There is no time to get into the pits and maybe adjust something. The timer ticks down, 1 minute 30 left. So whoever is not on the track now is not going to set another fastest time. We see now James pulling into the pits, so he did everything he could and not going to be taking part in the rest of the qualifying. Cool K and Neon Tiger also conclude their qualifying 1,000 of a second apart. Cool K with 47.102, Neon Tiger with 147.103 in 9th and 10th place respectively. We have a Cap crossing the start-finish line, and I don't think that's gonna be a registered lap time again, so one more attempt to set a bank time. We have Gunses attempting yet another lap. Let's see if this one will yield any results. Oh, 498, he's 0.03 of a second behind pole. Incredibly tight for the Latvian, but not close enough. He has to find another 0.03 in this lap, and this lap only. This is the last attempt. Everybody crossing the start-finish lap now. We'll have one more chance. We have 20 seconds, and looks like this will be tight for those cars. We have 6 cars approaching the start-finish line with 15 seconds to go. Spitfire attempting another lap, no result here. McLaren team improves to 5th, around Saltseeder 45.9. 2 more cars, Scheipert and Nemedis, none of them improve. And the time expires, and the first car under the checker is gonna be Autodrome Racing. Will he improve to the first row of the grid? 45.3, he sets the pole time, and the Russian is on pole. Framed Automotive unfortunately not able to improve. Let's see if there is any response. Not James is not able to respond, he's in the pits. Next car is gonna be Psychedelics, last couple of turns. We have Gunses still, that's Psychedelics undoubtedly unhappy with his final lap time. And we are looking at Gunses, who is currently at the start of the 3rd sector. He'll have 3 corners to navigate after this one. Approaching turn 14, sweeping uphill. It looks like it's not the best of lap times. It's 0.5 on a delta, but there's still one more turn to go. He is approaching that hard on the brakes, accelerating out of a turn, but it's not looking promising for the Latvian as he crosses the line. Oh, he does! It was a minus! I am completely blinded by the bright color, and the Latvian able to pull out an insane 45.016 to claim the pole. Beautiful performance by everybody at the end, but we still have cars on track. Saltseeder pulls into pits, unable to complete. We'll see, and McLaren team also in the pits, and that concludes are qualifying. Gunsis is on pole, 45 flat. Autumn Racing joins him on the front line with 45.3. And then we have Not James, White Striper, McLaren Team, South Cedar, Nemesis, Psychedelics, Cool K, Neon Tiger, Spitfire GTR, Framed Automotive, and Cap is Gaming is in 13th spot. And only one car of Cap unable to set a clean lap. And with that, we are approaching our race time, and we're gonna be going green in just 3 minutes. But definitely an incredible qualifying and incredible start of the weekend. Very, very tight competition. Everybody's getting ready. 2 minutes till we start our formation lap, and while we have time, a quick reminder about how the race format works this time around. We are having a single race in the weekend. It's going to be 60 minutes plus 1 lap long, and we have a mandatory pit window between 20th and 40th minute of the race. Tire change is mandatory, fuel is optional, but everybody will have to pit in the middle of a race during that 20-minute window. Everybody that's not pitting in that time frame will be automatically disqualified. So, well, there is no incentive into not pitting. As we see our beautiful Phoenix Racing Club safety car, the Pagani Huayra, ready to take the grid through our formation lap and to the start of the race. Just 1 minute till we start rolling, and hope you're comfortable, grabbing your popcorn and getting ready to start the second race of the championship. We're gonna have 8 races in total, and obviously the championship intrigue and championship implications, if you will start already. And the next race being just a week away means this race actually had the most prep time of all, 4 weeks. Almost a whole month between the previous race and this one. Obviously plenty of time throughout the holidays for the drivers. Probably not everybody used it to the full extent, but definitely going to be less time available from now on to prepare for the next track. So if you have done your homework, this is the best chance to showcase this. As we have our prep lights, the cars are getting ready, and we are gonna be rolling shortly. The lights are on, the safety car, all the lights it has, which is undoubtedly a lot of them. And we are now rolling. It's gonna be 60 laps. You have a timer which says 63 minutes. That's obviously to allocate time for the formation lap. Behind the safety car, it's estimated about 3 minutes before we're done. Some cars are using some creative lines before we go, but yeah, hopefully nobody decides to hit something. On the way to the start, you see the beautiful sunset at Dubai and our entire grid rolling towards the start. So 60 minutes. Oh, we have a Ferrari very loose. That's that's an interesting way to start. Obviously had a great lap in the qualifying, but probably not the best idea to throw it all away before the race even begins, as everybody's trying their best to warm up their tires without throwing it in the wall or each other. Remember, we had a restart in the first race because somebody did not make it around the formation lap, and obviously some choice words from race control, most likely. But we are getting ready, the field is getting bunched up and we are going double file. The pit lane starts right after turn 15, it's a very early pit entry. So we are looking at the safety car, the lights are yellow. When they turn green, that means the field is ready to go and we'll go under control of our leader Gunsis. There we go, the lights are green and that means the safety car is gonna peel away and give way to the field. The 000 controls the base from now on as we are ready to start our race. 1 hour and looks like 30 extra seconds for the drivers, just to have a little bit of extra fun as we approach and get through turn 16, as we are ready to go for race number 2 in 2024 Phoenix World Championship. Green flag in the air and we are rolling. Gunsis takes the lead and it looks like he had a good start. Ferrari's trying to catch up on the inside. Gunsis not defending too hard, but he has a little bit of overlap to keep that lead. And it looks like we are mostly clean at the start. Framed Automotive gaining a couple of spots in the middle of a pack. Meanwhile, not James able to jump out and race him off the get-go. So that's 73, getting around 37, which is a little bit interesting. Schapper is meanwhile holding our championship leader. McLaren team is looking for a way through on the inside and trying a lunge. Harsh defense from the Russian, but he is not able to hang around the outside, so that McLaren team off into 4th position, able to make some progress early on, which is very, very crucial for our championship leader. Minimize the losses from a suboptimal qualifying, but that's a very, very long straight, and McLaren team is locking up his fronts just a tiny little bit. We'll see further down, there's a little bit of contact. That was Spitfire and Kulke that allows Cap to get through into 12th position, some door banging, but he is a little bit wide and Kulke is able to get right back through. Approaching the end of the first lap, that's Salt Cedar. In a little bit of a train forming on, Gunsis is the only one that's almost able to make a gap worth of 1 second or more. While not James and Artem Racing were scrapping amongst themselves. The rest of the field is rather tight as we approach the end of our first lap. Gunsis in the lead, 47.5 already. You see everybody else is a little bit slower through the first lap. Gunsis is flying away very fast, but if you remember, the pit window might change everything drastically. You saw in the first race how you're able to lose 5 or more seconds in the pit window alone. PRT orange entry, car number 38 of Nemedis is pressuring the privateer Ferrari. The very red neon tiger Ferrari who's making a mistake and spinning out. That's commentator's curse alive and well, as the Ferrari is spun out and back in 13th spot. Very unfortunate start of a race for him. As we proceed on, obviously plenty of time to get back and get some positions. But for now, unfortunate start of a race for the American. Through the field, the gaps are starting to form a little bit. Everybody's strung out in single file, apart from this battle we were spectating before. White Shepherd and Salt Cedar. Looks like Psychedelics and Nemedis forming the rest of a train here. As we continue onwards. So it's definitely more of a flowing track at Dubai, so you have to set up your overtakes. Oh, something has happened here. It was a big gap, but now Gunsis finds himself in second and under fire for third. Our pole sitter had a massive problem at the end of a lap and now finds himself side by side with Artem Racing, going towards turn 1. That's gonna be a right-hander, so we saw a repeat of the start, but now Artem is on the inside and able to get the position, trying a crossover, but no, it's well covered and Gunsis drops down to third after a possible mistake on his part, and now he might be under fire from McLaren Tim. Our championship leader is not willing to sit there and wait. Instead, he's looking at the rear bumper of a Latvian, looking for a way to pass. We are on board with the racing team Intel Ferrari. You see Gunzes again, very, very loose. As they're side by side coming onto the back straight, it's gonna be a drag race between the two, and it looks like the McLaren is way, way superior. And but now a dive from 71. Ferrari late on the brakes, and around he goes. McLaren team is in third. Have South City and Whitechapel trading spots. A late launch by Schaper, and side by side again. Heading into the next turn, but it looks like South City is able to clear the opponent, but now exits a little bit wide, and we proceed with, well, I was about to say we proceed with side-by-side action, but now South City able to clear and claim 5th place. Now we have Nemedis looking for a way through. A very late dive by Schaper, and looks like both cars are in the wall. Hard contact, it looks like very probable damage on both cars, who are dropping down like flies now. Spitfire off the road as well. Third sector, everything breaks loose. Oh, that looks like that car is not in good condition. Damage on the right side of a Porsche. As Spitfire continues, that right side is all banged up. And Schaper drops down to 12. I believe there was secondary impact to that McLaren. As we have the Stewart sensors tingling in the chat, so definitely gonna be some investigation after the fact as we proceed with the race for now, as both Nordfeld's Motorsport cars are in trouble at about the same time. Now we're switching to our lead battle. There we go. Now James and Atom racing, forming a choo-choo train. Atom is looking but not going just yet. Behind them, let's see, Neon Tiger and Cap trade places. Looks like a quick overtake by the American who was behind. Very soon Cap is going through with a very safe race, not looking for anything. Oh! Championship leader in the wall! McLaren team in the wall and stationary. Looks like that car met the wall hard and not able to continue going. He is very stuck. He finds the reverse gear and able to continue, but now he's pointing the wrong way. Able to turn around, and he's all the way down to 12, and now in 13th. Everything goes wrong for the American, starting from suboptimal qualifying, and now all the way down in last place. Dubai Autodrome, the new track, and you see the result of that. Everything goes to hell. Looks like a very grabby wall did not help McLaren team there after the impact. He was seemingly stuck in the crash barriers there for a while. Thankfully able to find the reverse gear and continue on, but very, very suboptimal. Lots of places lost, and I assume a lot of damage as well, but we still have 13 more minutes before pit window is open. So if anybody wants to fix their damage, they have to drive for about 13 more minutes before they're able to do so. And now we have an overtake for the lead. Atom racing around the outside, try to take the lead from not James. Their train spots, and now another drag race on the back straight. Atom will be on the inside for the next turn. Who is able to brake later? We have two similar approaches still going side by side. A little bit of wheel squealing from Atom, who is not able to extend as far as he would have liked to, and great defense from not James, who is currently still in the lead, but Atom Racing is looking for any place to get around the car. Probably we'll be able to see a nice view from on board, but still Atom will be on the outside for the next two turns, having to go the long way around. Oh, there's a little bit of bumping from not James. Very, very rough defense from the 73, but both drivers are able to continue relatively unscathed with a little bit of bruising. Cap losing position to Whitechapel in the meantime. We saw that on a timing screen. as the leaders proceed as normal. Cyclex and Framed Automotive, two Germans in very different cars. Agile Porsche against the chunky Mercedes. And looks like we have an issue. That's Cap and that's Spitfire as well. Not sure what happened there, but Cap and Spitfire both lost it in turn 14. Spitfire still very damaged. Not sure if there was another collision, but I believe the stewards are car. That's Autumn. That's Autumn racing in the wall as well. That's turn number what? Turn number 6, 7? I believe so. And I think the stewards are very hard at work, or just writing everything down. Everything is happening. Cars all over the track, and we have lots of changes. Definitely gonna be lots of talk after the race. But for now, we continue on. And we are just now crossing a 10-minute mark of the race. And definitely had lots and lots of events, and Guns is almost back to the lead after all the adventures he had. Meanwhile, McLaren team improves to 11th due to errors of other cars. Spitfire and Cap continue their battle. Cap obviously a little bit slower. There's a little bit of a lockup, and Spitfire able to clear. That Porsche is very damaged, but soldiering on, still has to drive for about 10 more minutes. Cap is wide in the background. 46.2 from Gunsis, 46.4 from Not James. So Gunsis is slowly catching up. Not James' best time was 46.1, 46.2 from Autumn Racing. So those are the best cars currently. And Guns is 46.22, Autumn Racing was 46.21. So the top three is pretty much line of stern regarding best times. Looks like another issue for Cap I see on the display in turn 15, but able to continue on. That's a solo spin. As I was saying, a very demanding track. You have to have full concentration all the time, and the drivers are getting caught out very early on. White Sharp is chasing Neon Tiger. There's a second behind these two, and they're both trying to catch Kulke for 8th position. And we didn't see it on screen, but we see it now. Neon Tiger once more off the track, waiting for a car to pass before he can rejoin. Looks like that Ferrari is very loose for Neon. That's his second spin of the race, and that's gonna cost him another couple of positions. After mistakes, the field is strung out quite a bit. The drivers are trying their best to settle into the rhythm and continue as they were. Looking at the two leaders, still 1.5 seconds between them. Looking at Autumn Racing, he is a little bit further back, trying to settle into the rhythm himself. Have a little bit of calm before the storm, possibly, as everybody's trying to figure out where they are. And with 7 minutes till we open the pit window, there's a little bit loose from Gunsis. You see the battle scars on his left side. As we have a little bit of time before the pit window opens, that's probably as good of a time as any for us to go to our first pure sound of the day. That was a very long pause. And as we come back, I'm not sure what is going on while we were gone, but that's Gunses in the pits, a very short pit. I think he ran out of fuel before the pit window. I believe that's what happened to him, and he had to short pit outside of a window, losing an incredible amount of time because of this miscalculation. He continues on, that was a short pit, he lost the position to South City and finds himself in 6th place, battling for that 6th. Obviously no tire change, so they're warm as ever. And we had a pit as well for Framed Automotive, who now finds himself behind. And from what I understand, that is due to the technical issues with the steering. Unfortunate result for the German, finds himself further back, but obviously 43 minutes to get any points away. Guns is able to get an overtake done on South City, up in 4th, but that's, let's see, that's almost 30 seconds behind now. A very, very long pit road at Dubai Autodrome, so that's any chance of winning the race probably gone for the Latvian unless something incredible happens. I would like to talk to him about this after the race, but it looked like a simple fuel miscalculation. 2.5 minutes before we are able to witness our first pits that actually do count towards our pit window. And we have a battle continuing, and there we go, Saltseer around the outside and crossing over to the inside, able to get around Gunses again, who is not having the best of times in his McLaren after the start of the race. Looks like that car has an incredible pace, but Gunses might be struggling to control it. Side by side again, as both of them are approaching psychedelics in their pursuit of greatness. Cool K off the road and spinning backwards. My apologies, that's coming out of the last turn, rejoining, but that car was obviously loose coming out of 16, and one more damaged car that will have to service in a couple of laps. Gunses meanwhile able to finish his overtake and now in pursuit of 4th position. Psychedelics finds himself close to that duo. The gap was 5 seconds. I think something happened to the German to fall back a little bit further, probably a mistake somewhere. Meanwhile, in the lead, Atom Racing set fast lap of 45.7. Not James fastest at 45.9. Definitely these two are trading best times in an effort to close the gap. Gap at 5.5 currently. And we'll see if there's gonna be any pit window shenanigans between the two to alter that situation. Framed Automotive again off the road. That's gonna be in turn 6. Continuing on. So really not a great race for the orange Jägermeister Porsche. Thankfully for him, we have one drop week available for the series, and if the race is going to hell, like here, this is your opportunity to not drag down the entire championship with it. Guns is trying to hunt down Psychedelics a little bit over the white line. Viperian, that's for you, as he tries to set up an overtake. Looking on the inside of a Mercedes, braking late but not able to establish any kind of a crossover so far, so he has to set back and wait. The pit window is gonna open in a couple of seconds. 40 on the clock. Pit window is now officially open, and we're gonna be monitoring if anybody elects to jump straight in. I'm gonna expect a couple of damaged cars to dive into pits as soon as possible. And it looks like the first one is Neon Tiger in the pits to sell down his Ferrari. He spun it a couple of times early on, but now he is the first car in the pits. And now we do have a proper countdown as well. You have the pit open timer up top to be able to see when the pit window closes. And we're gonna continue monitoring drivers coming into pits. I would expect Spitfire, Whitechapel, two cars that definitely had their issues. Speaking of Spitfire, who is going around Cool K, and speaking around Cool K, definitely one of the cars that had some damage as well. That might be a good candidate to visit the pits early on. And looks like Whitechapel and McLaren Team O in the battle, almost touching as Tim tries to extend in the path, but for now is able to hold on and now finds himself in 7th place as the recovery drive continues. The leaders all elected not to go, and looks like both McLaren Team and Whitechapel are going into the pits at the same time. You see Tim is not having the healthiest of cars, obviously a good choice for him to pit. And one more reminder that by the briefing, drivers were not allowed to cross the white lines at the pit entry. And I believe I just saw McLaren Team just diving hard onto the pit lane. So the steward book is gonna be filling in a lot throughout this pit period. Oh, and as I switch to Salt Cedar, commentator's curse striking again. He is the latest car to have a little bit of a spin. As he continues on, we have Cool K as well in the pits, another damaged car. I would be expecting Spitfire framed probably, unless actually framed might have fixed the issue early on, so might continue further. But McLaren Team and Whitechapel both rejoin the track. Neither of the two leaders electing to go early for an undercut, so they continue on. 45.8, great time from Not James, who's trying to pull away, and looks like he's doing that. 46.5 from Autodrome, almost a second lost on this lap alone. So the yellow Ferrari has to pick it up to be able to contend at the finish. Then we have a huge gap to the 3rd place, as the gap was essentially vacated by Gunses. We see Cool K just now rejoining the track, so it looks like a lot of damage had to be repaired. And now we have Gunses chasing down Imadas, almost 2 seconds a lap quicker. But now he will have Cool K rejoining ahead of him, and that car will have to be cleared out of the way by the Latvian. Obviously, by rule, you do not have to yield if you have blue flags. Blue flags are informational only, so the faster car will have to find their way around you. So that might compromise timing a little bit for Gunses, who is hunting down Imadas for the podium place. And obviously will have to fight off McLaren Team if Tim is able to get there. After Gunses lost quite a bit of time, looks like Tim is... Actually no, Tim is a little bit further behind than I thought. So looks like the gap to Spitfire is 32 plus 5 more, so Gunses has a little bit of a gap to everybody behind him. Unless the pit stop is going to be quite lengthy. I'm expecting 35-second loss in the pits. I might be wrong on that regard. Cup, meanwhile, is in the pits, and Framed Automotive goes behind him, so that's 2 more backmarkers jumping onto the pit lane. Here we see Gunses, there we go, in a fight with Cool K. Not much of a fight. Cool K rationally decides to let the faster car through and follow him instead, so that Gunses is around the back marker in 3.5 seconds behind Imadas. 47.7 for the Dane and 47.3 for Gunses. Spitfire, meanwhile, off the track, trying to locate that car. That's the end of the second sector, so that's going to be 10-11, where he lost it, and now he's going to be under 5 from McLaren Team, just 2.5 seconds between, and still a damaged car for Spitfire. So a bold strategy of not pitting early. I believe he stayed out despite all that damage. I don't think he has pit yet. I might be completely wrong in that regard. But yeah, struggling with the damaged car. You see the right side damage is quite severe as he continues switching to our leaders. Now James is continuing to pump lap after lap, 46.5 for McLaren team, so a little bit faster than the third and fourth. Let's see what happens after they complete their mandatory pit stops. But definitely a good omen for Nemedis and Gunsis, who might be able to slowly, well, stay. Actually, for Gunsis, I'm not sure. The two leaders 46.3, but looking at the gaps, I still think Nemedis and Gunsis are clear of McLaren team after the stop. Even if Gunsis lost quite a lot of time with his extra stop. But I am incredibly bad with maths and estimation, so I should probably just shut up and let them settle it themselves. And we'll just switch on board with Gunsis, who is now chasing down Nemedis. Obviously a good difference on pace between those two. Nemedis is just trying to keep it clean, and so far find himself in the podium position just by the virtue of not getting into trouble, which is a very good policy on this track, as it turns out. But obviously with on-track battles it's going to be much different, as you have to defend against a very rapidly approaching car. We go on the back straight, a little bit of extra speed. We see McLaren team and Spitfire fighting for 7th in the background, but we're gonna stay in this battle. Actually, that's not a battle. Spitfire in the pits to avoid the battle. Gunsis having to go around the outside in the battle. He had overspeed, but not enough on the back straight, but the next turn will favor him, and he is able to finish that overtake and finds himself in 3rd place. But obviously we'll have to make one more stop. He made one stop for fuel before, but he'll have to make one more for mandatory tire change. Spitfire in the pits, Salt Cedar and Psychedelics trade places. And now, oh, Psychedelics very loose. He has a framed automotive here that's trying to unlap himself now behind him. So a little bit of trouble for the Mercedes, who ended up on podium last race. Much different this time, and as Psychedelics noted, the tires might be going away after about half an hour, so maybe we'll see a little bit higher than expected drag on that 93 machine that affects his performance. Saw him quite a bit loose coming out of a turn, losing a spot there. 150.4, definitely suboptimal. So as we settle with overtakes a little bit, Salt City and continues 10 seconds behind the pair of Gunsis and Nemedis. Nemedis is losing ground a little bit, but still in a respectful 4th position. But we're gonna see a lot of late bloomers pitting, and interesting to see where they will be in relation to already pitted cars, which are led, I believe, by McLaren team. He's now 40 seconds behind Psychedelics, and I'm not sure how long the pits take, but we might see a massive undercut from the American. We are approaching midway point of the race, just 23 more seconds before that mark, as we'll have 30 minutes left of the race and 10 minutes of open pits. And we have our leader in the pits. That's an important moment. We're gonna stay with him, and Autumn Racing dives right behind him. So no tactical shenanigans between the two. They're just doing half and half, both of them. And no undercuts, no overcuts, just straight up pace battle between those two. And we'll see who gets on throttle earlier. The tire change should take the same amount of time. Obviously, it will depend on how precise they are in their pit box. And if they're gonna take some repairs, anything else. And we see James leaving, and we see Artem going. Gunsis went through. We see Nemedis in the pits as well. And gonna be interesting for this duo. Not James back on track, and it looks like Salt Cedar is now going through. Artem drops to 4th. Psychedelics goes around Artem in 5th, and that's gonna be framed automotive somewhere close to him. but behind, so it's 2 cars Autodrome will have to navigate around, and that's the price of pitting in a very awkward window. Now James able to clear every single one of them, and now in clear air. Guns is back in the lead, but obviously has to stop. Oh! That's a crash. Autodrome loose on cold tires and tags Framed Automotive. That's Saltseeder and Psychedelics in the battle. Saltseeder catching up. 0.5 between them. So we have Gunses that is yet to pit. Psychedelics, Saltseeder. I believe that's it. And we see McLaren Team. And yes, Gunses, Psychedelics, Saltseeder, and Nemedis, I believe. Oh, Nemedis just pitted. Never mind me. So that's Nemedis 6 seconds clear of McLaren Team. Everybody ahead of him is safe. Gunses was slightly ahead, so it looks like McLaren Team will have to do it on pace alone, so not enough of an undercut to be able to claw some positions back. And as I look at his fastest time, 46.5, that's still far behind the leaders. Gunses with not the greatest lap time, 47.7, but his best has been improved to 45.6, so Latvian definitely can hold this car around. Saltseeder now dives into the pit lane. Psychedelics elects to continue, 7 minutes left of the pit window. So Autodrome goes by, Saltseeder now in the pits. That's gonna be Cool Cave, who's a lap down, breezing by. The next cars are gonna be rounding out turn 16 now, and I believe they will be past Saltseeder as we continue. That's gonna be Nemedis and McLaren Team. Here comes Nemedis on the start-finish straight, who is definitely gonna be through, and next is gonna be McLaren Team. Let's see if there will be a position improvement. I believe there will be, as he goes by right now, as his teammate rejoins the track in 7th place. So Team improves to 6. And Psychedelics was around the same place as Saltseeder, 3.4. So looks like Nemedis and McLaren Team will improve one more place, as we have Cap off the track in turn 7, having to wait for everybody to go by. That's McLaren Team and Saltseeder driving by. A very long wait for the Canadian, but very safe approach in track rejoin. So we have 6 minutes. We're waiting for 2 more stops. I'm on the leading group. That's first and third. And as I say that Gunses is now in the pits, the McLaren, second time on pit lane. We have... it looks like Neon was just letting the leader by. I was looking at the map almost as he came into the pit lane, but that's not the case. Just letting the leader by and continuing on. We're looking at Gunses. Let's see how many positions he will lose. That's Psychedelic going by. That's not gonna count. That's Autodrome Racing going by. Now that is gonna count. Gunses drops down off podium place. Next gonna be Nemedis and McLaren Team. We're gonna be looking at Tim, who's now at turns 14, 15. And Gunses is already moving, so looks like the Latvian is gonna be clear by a little bit of a margin. Then Gunses now back on track and into turn 1. So we have a start-finish straight between those two. That's about 5 seconds, if I'm to guess. And now we're just waiting on the leading group for Psychedelics to dive into the pit lane with 5 minutes to go. So looks like he's going all the way to the last possible moment, just staying on track, staying safe, and basically choosing the least fuel added at the stop. As we are on board with the German, the podium finisher in the first race in Sochi now finds himself in second once more, but that's obviously not going to last. I expect him to end up around 5th position, 5th, 6th, somewhere there. Possibly 7th, depending on where McLaren Team ends up in relation to him after the stop. I'm looking at Psychedelic's best time, it's 47.5, so not the fastest of races for him. So Yeah, I would guess he would rejoin in 7th. He elects to not pit once more. Continue on. He has 4 minutes of pit window, so he has what, 2 more opportunities to get into the pit lane. So 2 more laps of pit window for the German. Oh, very loose. Well caught by Psychedelics, but that's a good sign that his tires are slowly but surely giving out. Autodrome Racing able to navigate around the traffic, but now 12 seconds behind the leader after that collision out of a pit lane. So definitely clear for Not James so far. Our leader is not having too many problems unless something happens. Now we see Autodrome Racing catching up to Psychedelics. Let's see if he'll have to get around him on track. Psychedelics really slowing down. So that late pit might not be completely beneficial for him in regards to race pace. He's continuing on now, 11.5 seconds behind the leader, and now under fire by the bright yellow Ferrari. In regards to battles further down, Framed Automotive gained 30 seconds on Cap after his earlier adventures or misadventures. Let's see if 22 minutes will be enough to gain another minute. Will be very difficult, but with cars going out left, right is... Oh, what a dive! Holy hell! Autodrome Racing with a massive send into what would be turn number 14. I said before the race that we're gonna have some big dives there, but that was incredibly massive. And Psychedelics elected not to turn in. So great behavior by both drivers to stay out of each other's path, but obviously not beneficial for the German, who is now out of 150s, 151s for Psychedelics. Have a little bit of insight that he's going for best possible tires at the end, but that might cost him way more than he would have gained. Looking at Cool K in the pits now. I believe he pitted earlier, but could be another stop for 07, not exactly sure. 140 till the end of a pit window, so definitely has to be a stop this time around by Psychedelics if he doesn't want to end up on a sin bin for the end of a race, which will be kind of hilarious for a race director to be disqualified for not reading the rulebook. But for now, we continue on. Not James with a comfortable 14-second lead over Autodrome Racing. Guns is another 17 seconds down. McLaren team is slowly but surely catching Nemedis here. I'm not sure if Nemedis stopped. I don't think so. I am not sure. Do not quote me on that. Cool K rejoins the race in 11th position, 7 seconds clear of Cap, and almost over a minute behind Neon Tiger in 10th. So the field is really spread out. This race is way less tight than Sochi, but still a couple of interesting situations going on here. Definitely gonna be a lot of post-race discussions. Looks like Spitfire is off the road, trying to locate the place of incident. That's turn 1. Spitfire lost in turn 1. Continuing on. And there we go, Psychedelics on pit road. And into the pits he goes on the last possible moment. 20 seconds left, so if anybody wants to go into the pits, that has to be precisely right now. I believe everybody finished their pit window. I'm not sure about Nemedis. We'll see if he comes in. No, he doesn't, so he did pit, in fact. Apologies to the date. I did not expect to see him that far up. So you see 5th and 6th, Nemedis and McLaren team now clearing Psychedelics, who's now in the pits. Lost a huge chunk of time, and I believe South City will be able to clear as well. Yes, Psychedelics in the pits. Meanwhile, Salt City going through, so that cost him a lot. Now Psychedelics will have to get all of that back on track. We see him rejoining now. There's gonna be good 5 seconds of a gap, if not more. But brand new tires for the German will have to crawl back up the grid if he wants some good point haul out of a race. So that's pit window officially closed, but no cars have been disqualified, so everybody completed their mandatory stop as required. And now we continue on with 20 minutes left, now 19 minutes left on the clock. And that's a straight sprint to the finish line for everybody. And now as McLaren team is trying to hunt down the Dane in a McLaren, it's a good time to go to our second pure sound of the day. Continue on, just over 15 minutes left in the race. McLaren team still chasing down United. The gap is down to 1 second between them, but still no overtake inside. Everybody continues and trying to look for a gap that might be shrinking. I'm not seeing one just yet. Cyclex is continuing to hunt down Saltier in another battle further back. Autodrome Racing is not closing down the gap himself, so the top three are pretty much settled in. The close battle, obviously the one we're spectating right now for fourth position between United and McLaren team. United's fastest lap 46.548, McLaren team 46.532, so these two are on pace today. So it's definitely not going to be the easiest pass of the life of our current champion. We'll see if he'll find a gap. Obviously, draft plays a good big role in on this track in the battle. Since we have two long straights, definitely gonna have a good exit onto the straight to be able to use that. But McLaren team able to close the gap down, and now in the hunt for Nemaitis. But you see the Dane with just slightly better exit onto the start-finish straight, able to get a little bit of speed and half a second ahead, so that possible draft is completely neglected by just one tiny mistake by McLaren team, who I'm now convinced is incredibly demolished by the commentator's curse. As soon as I switch, he loses that gap he just built. These two are catching up to Framed Automotive, currently see ahead, who is 1 lap down. We have a car off in the final turn, that's a White Sharper in 8th position, but nobody around him, so he is able to rejoin the track comfortably. Oh, and as I switch, oh come on, as I switch there's an overtake. McLaren team finds a spot to get around Nemedas. So looks like Framed Automotive waited for this too. Hopefully he was not involved in that. There's gonna be a lot of shouting if he was. But McLaren team finds himself in 4th position, ahead of Nemedas. And we have 13.5 minutes and we're looking for the closest gap. South City is closing down slowly towards Nemedas, 7-second gap there, while Psychedelics is falling back at the same time. 46.9 for Atom Racing in the 2nd spot. Definitely not having the qualifying laps anymore. So pretty much all settled in, apart from possible 5th place battle towards the end if Salt City is able to get some good pace going. We'll see the time comparisons now as Nemedas is crossing the line. 49.4, so 2 seconds lost somewhere. That possibly was a lapped car involved, or just a mistake. 47 flat from Saltseer, and 46.9 by Psychedelics. Psychedelics is catching up, but not fast enough to have that gamble pay out so far. Definitely have to get a little bit faster if he wants to get closer to Saltseer at the end of the race. And a half minutes left. Saltseer is falling down slowly from McLaren team. Our championship leader is able to crack up the pace, and now 6.3 behind him is Saltseer, who is lapping a little bit quicker, but we'll see if he's able to get close enough. Looking at 1:45 lap times, so that's what, about 6-7 more laps plus 1 second per lap, and he'll be on the tail of Nemedas by the end of a race. But it's incredibly tight, and you don't just need to catch up, you just need to find a place to overtake as well. That's Framed Automotive again off the road in turn 14, I see on the map. He returns safely, but now behind Psychedelics. 47.1 for Saltseer. Psychedelics lost a little bit of time again, so that gamble is not paying off for the German. 47.4. So we are rapidly approaching the 10-minute mark. The field is mostly settled down. I don't think there are too many on-track battles in store unless something changes. Saltseer is not exactly closing down. He's hovering about 6-second mark, and he obviously cannot spend too much time lingering. Every lap he has to close down. Looks like 55 is losing his chance for a top 5 finish. And looks like that's a parked car of Framed Automotive, the first car to get off the road, and we see Cap in pits as well. So possibly 2 cars are now in the pits for good for this race. I'm not sure what happened, but they were not close together from the track map, so I don't think it was collision between the two. But we have 11 cars currently running. We'll see if Cap or Frame return to the track. Cap is moving, so it looks like it was some damaged repairs. Or maybe not. Never mind. He's back stationary. It looks like we do have both cars not finishing the race, so we have 11 cars running. So we continue on. 7.2 for Salt City now. Great pace for Nemedis now when it matters. But did something happen? Now it switched to 3 seconds. Am I dreaming this, or did I just see 7 seconds, which is now 4? Not exactly sure what happened. When I switched to Nemedis, he was just driving normally, but he's now 7 seconds from McLaren team, so definitely a mistake somewhere from the Dane, which now opens the door for Saltseeder. As I was saying that he turned up the pace, maybe he pushed a little bit too hard and made a mistake somewhere. 8 minutes to go, which is plenty of time to catch up and get a position from this. So we might have a battle on our hands, 3.5 between them. So now no chance for a mistake for Nemedis. He used up that gap. And now is gonna hang on for that 5th position. Up ahead, McLaren team well clear. Now 11 seconds back of Gunses, but Gunses is lapping 46.2. So I don't think there's gonna be an opportunity for anyone in top 4 to close down to each other unless an issue happens. So everybody is in hot lap mode towards the end of a race here. And yeah, 51.1, so something definitely happened to Nemedis. Maybe a spin somewhere. He was not listed as off track, so maybe just loose or missed the track. And it looks like a technical issue for Cap as well, from what I see. So that's technical DNF in 12th position. I'm not sure about the 75% rule, if that was within that, so we're gonna be checking post-race reports based on the number of laps completed by the leader to see if that's a point pay in 12th position for both Cap and Framed Automotive, as they basically pitted into the garage at the same time. So we continue on. Looks like Neon Tiger was off the road again a little bit. That's gonna be McLaren team cruising past him. That means that's turn 12. 2.6 between Nemedis and Saltseeder. Saltseeder catching up 6 minutes, which is... they have 4 or 5 more laps to go. That's plenty of time. Probably 4. Depending on where the leader is when time expires. So definitely cannot relax yet. For Nemedis, he'll have some defending to do towards the end of the race. So continue on. Approaching the 5-minute mark, everybody mostly settled down, but still waiting for that final battle and possible errors by drivers to maybe change something. Definitely less exciting race than the first race of the season in regards to on-track battles, but obviously what we said at the start of a race, it was the race with the most preparation out of any in this season, including the first one, so drivers had ample opportunity to do their homework, and that is paying off for some, with drivers being able to just drive around with incredible consistency, putting lap times, not James, still putting 45.7, which is just 1/10 below the fastest lap of the race so far. So the leader is not dropping off anytime soon. Everybody behind him also being quite consistent. slower but consistent Autodrome racing in 46 mids. Guns is in 46 lows, along with McLaren team at about the same time. The gap 2.2 with 4 minutes left. South City is still catching up, but looks like not enough. So unless we see more mistakes from Nemaitis, it might just be not enough time for a racing team Intel driver to catch up to a PRT orange car. Less than 4 minutes on the clock. We see, where's the leader? The leader is at turn number 10, so we're gonna 2 laps is 3.5 minutes, but we're gonna have 3.5 now, and he has not crossed the line. So for leader it's gonna be 3 more laps. So we're gonna have 3.5 more laps of this battle, and for everybody crossing the line now, 3 more laps of racing. 32 laps completed by the leader, so that's gonna be 35 by the end of the race. I'm trying to calculate if we're gonna have a DNFs offering some points. So it's gonna be a 26 lap cutoff. Framed Automotive completed 26, Cap completed 27, so both are gonna be point paying positions for 2 DNF'd cars. So everybody in this race will receive points, well, unless they're disqualified. As we continue on, spectating battle, South City a little bit too wide here, risking hard, and well, the gap behind is 10 seconds, he can afford a little bit. We see Guns is off the road and spinning around at the last turn. Definitely do not want to do that close to the end of a race. Maybe just a little bit asleep, and now we have McLaren Tim very close to him. Now we see the gap is, well, about 3 seconds. And the gap between Salt City now 3.2 as well, so Nemaitis picked the pace up 46.5, 47.4 for Salt City, lost a whole second. But we might have a new battle on our hands. Gunses is a little bit out of shape, and we have 2 seconds between those two. So, as I said, no battles unless somebody is having issues, and we might have a little bit of issue. If McLaren team is able to crawl all the way to podium after being cracked early on and meeting Mr. Wall, that's an impressive recovery feat. And now he is 1.8 seconds away from that. But we have 1.5 laps to go. Oh no, James off the road. Everything is going on. That's turn 14, and our leader is also making a mistake. Autodrome Racing was a little bit too far back, and it was a quick recovery. He lost about 5 seconds in that issue. We're gonna see his lap time. I'm assuming 153, 8 seconds lost, but still 11 or 10 second gap to second place. Neon Tiger also spinning. That's in turn 10. So looks like the second sets of tires are starting to fall off for the drivers. Or maybe they're tired or too relaxed and making mistakes towards the end of a race. So just 2 laps to go for everybody involved, and we see lots of mistakes. So we might not be done yet. 1.5 seconds between Guns and McLaren team, and 2 more times around. 47.7 for Guns, 46.1 for McLaren team. His best lap of a race by 4/10. He sees his prey, and he is now pushing hard. That Ferrari is working overtime, 1.4. We might have an interesting battle towards the end of a race. Really pushing. Looks like South Cedar pretty much is done. We see 0.3 faster than his last lap as well for McLaren team. That driver is pushing for all his might in the last couple of laps. He has a 10-second gap behind. So, I mean, he is a little bit safe unless he meets the wall again. But he is willing to risk it. 1.2 between them. The timer has expired, so the leader is going to be starting his last lap shortly. He is now in turn 15. but we are glued to this battle. 1 second between them and 1.5 laps to go. He is able to get into the draft for the last lap. McLaren team might have a shot at this. The last few corners have a great overtaking potential. So if he uses this 3 remaining straights to get close, that might be a battle at the end. 1 second precisely between the two. McLaren team almost, yeah, he's a little bit faster than himself, almost in the almost in 45-second range. The leader is on the final lap, and these two are going to be approaching the final lap shortly, just one turn. And great consistency by team, a little bit early on the brakes for this one, might be a better acceleration, just a tenth slower, and now the gap is 1.2, 46.4 by Guns, 46.2 by Tim. He needs to gain a second on this lap and this lap alone, as we are entering white flag in this race. Not James leading the 35th and the final lap. Autodrome Racing is in second. Goodson McLaren team 1 second away in third and fourth. And on your screens currently, South City with the best lap for himself. But 2.5 seconds back, that's way too far unless Nemaitis makes a mistake. And Nemaitis is not keen on making a mistake currently. Great performance by the Dane, find himself in top 5 towards the end of the race. But now looking 1.2 between those drivers. Not close enough for an attack, but the entry in the back straight, that's the last straight of the race if we disregard the short run towards the end. And it's 1 second between those two. We have to switch to our race leader as he is being led by Spitfire, and that's not James, with great performance, not making many mistakes, and now crossing the start finish line for one last time, claiming the race to himself. Car 73 is the race winner at Dubai. Car 37, the season debut for Autodrome Racing, and he is able to claim second spot for himself. Great performance by Car 37. And now we switch to those two. They are in turns 14, 15, but looks like not close enough, as McLaren team finishes 1 second behind Gunsis, unless something happens in the final turn. Gunsis does not let that happen, exits the turn and claims the final podium spot in third place. The 000 from podium. A bit of a disappointing race with an extra stop, but great recovery. McLaren team finishes in fourth, but a great performance here. Fifth position, Nemaitis in top 5 in PRT Orange, followed by South Cedar in 6 Psychedelics with an rather unorthodox strategy on all tires. He tried, he did not succeed, but he finds himself in 7th place. In front of him, Neon Tiger in 10th, a lap down. And the final car on the lead lap is gonna be White Shaper in 8th position. A debut, so the debut team of Nord Feathers Motorsport in 8th and 9th. So both cars at finish, but obviously not the performance they would have liked as he crosses the finish line. We have a little bit of show here by the cars at the end. We have somebody blowing their tires and on the rims now. That's a very happy Ferrari of not James. Some donuts by the second place, and the lads are definitely enjoying their performance tonight. And with that said, Kulke finished the race, the final car on track in 11th. So that's everybody crossing the start finish line. And let's see if we can chat with anybody here, as cars are completing their donuts. Let's see if we can grab someone, and well, might as well grab the race winner, car number 73. Now James, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Well, that was a much better performance than the first week for you. I I believe the only error was at the end with a little spin. Was there a lot of preparation from you for this week, and how did you rate that performance?
Preparation is an overestimation. I got about 15 minutes of practice and then went straight into qualifying. I did not expect this to go as well as it did. Had I not had that spin trying to get past, I think it was not Cap, someone else. Had I not had that spin, I think that would have been my probably best performance, at least in this server, maybe ever. That was a very fun race.
So safe to say this track really suits you. It's an Autodrome track, let's say.
Yeah, it's definitely a unique track with all these cambered corners and the elevation change in the corners as well. I guess some people aren't quite used to that. I find those kind of tracks more fun, and the car just felt right to me. So, yeah, it was a ton of fun.
Well, congratulations with the win, great performance, and hope to see you the next week.
Thank you.
The next car, we're gonna talk to someone who pulled a great performance in the qualifying, but probably not the greatest mass performance. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Was I right in my expectation that you miscalculated your fuel and that was the reason for the early stop?
Less miscalculation, more forgetting to set the right amount of fuel and sitting on my quali fuel amount.
So...
Which, yeah, had to do an early stop.
Very interesting race for you with the 2 stops. The car definitely had pace in qualifying, but in the race it looks like it was a little bit looser than you would have liked. Was that the same judgment from inside the cockpit for you?
I think it was mostly a left foot issue where sometimes I think most of the mistakes were attributed to me needing to apply the brake a little bit much, but doing that a little bit, even over a little bit in the middle of a corner, just sends the rear going. So yeah, I think it was like 4 mistakes in turn 14, I think, and then on the last one, that was a big one, which made me realize that Tim was much closer than I thought.
You definitely brought some entertainment towards the end with the spin, but
Yeah.
the next track is, I would say, the greatest contrast between the 2 neighboring tracks on our calendar as we head to Surface Paradise. Are you looking forward to the track? Would you like it more than Dubai?
I would say Dubai was quite a lot of fun. I remember doing Surface Paradise, I believe in V8 was the last time we went there, and it was a lot of fun. So we'll see if I'll be able to keep it out of the walls.
That will definitely be very interesting. Well, congratulations with the finish. Some decent recovery for a 2-stopper, and hope to see you next race.
Yeah, see you next race.
Now, speaking of unorthodox strategies, the car that we've been glued to for about 10 minutes in the pit window. Can you hear me?
I can, hello.
Hello, car of psychedelics. So, the most obvious question, can you please talk more about your strategy and very late pit in the window, which seemed to have cost you a little bit of time there?
Yeah, I was planning to do that originally, but I guess I just ruined my tires a bit too much with the many mistakes that I did. So I lost a lot of time against Salz, which, yeah, wasn't optimal, but I went for it anyways.
So, regarding the contrast in performance between Sochi and here, was that the track that doesn't exactly suit the Mercedes? Was that something for you personally that you found difficult?
I think it was a mix of it not suiting the Merc all that much, and also a lack of preparation time.
Okay, and the next race, Surface Paradise. Mercedes is not exactly known for its agility. So, are you expecting a little bit of trouble in the tight streets of the next race?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, hopefully this sturdiness will compensate for the lack of turn-in sharpness.
There's hope.
Well, have fun the next race and see you there.
See you. Bye.
Alright, we probably have time to chat to one more, and that was a very exciting race for McLaren team, our current champion. Do you hear me?
Yeah, what's up?
Hello. So, very interesting race for you throughout. Not the best qualifying and a crash early on. Can you talk more about what happened there with your meeting with the wall?
Yeah, I mean, just skill issue. Lost it on the curb, and then I got kind of stuck in the wall, and then I had to wiggle around as much as I could. Luckily, the race didn't end there, but yeah, it's just a mess up. Um, yeah, great job to James and Salts as well. I made some setup changes like 5 minutes before, and looks like they worked well. But I think I was generally underutilizing the car somehow, so just not having more than 30 minutes of sim time in the past 2 weeks and pushing too hard in the beginning, that was the problem.
So yes, was willing to talk about that next. The pace at the end was not particularly faster than the leading pack as well. So looks like the whole race for you was a little bit more difficult than, well, race in Sochi and dare I say the entire season 4 of Phoenix World Championship, correct?
Yeah, it's just lacking a lot of pace somehow. I think the changes, um, we were just initially using the Sochi setup, and that was just really bad. So I think with some more prep, the rest of the time was in there. It's just also having to pit early and fix the damage just to try to stem the tide. Um, yeah, it didn't help the tire wear as well. But it was interesting at the end. I think Guntz's made it kind of exciting. So
Yeah, we have possibly the toughest race ahead and just 1 week to prepare. What do you foresee for Surface Paradise for you and the team?
I know nothing about it, so definitely gotta practice a bit more for that one.
All right, and with many different cars, we see that different tracks suit them more, and probably more competition for you in the championship overall, where you are unable to dominate the whole championship, just specific races. What would be your approach for the rest of it? Will you try to just tactically be more safe and win via consistency, or just go for race wins as usual?
I mean, I'll just try my best. I think 2021 was kind of like that, where, it was the Lambos versus, or me and the Lambo versus the Ferraris, and them having a lot more straight line and that kind of thing. I think, I've always been able to figure out something by the end of the season, so fingers crossed that'll still happen. But yeah, just try to observe the competition, see where they're faster, and shore up where I'm lacking, and practice a bit more. That's it.
All right, well, have fun the next week. It's definitely gonna be interesting.
Yep, thanks, Georgian.
All right, and I believe that is gonna be it for us today. Thank you everybody so much for those who joined us, and we're gonna be seeing you just next week, January 21st. Mark the calendar. We're going to Australia, Surface Paradise Street Circuit, and its rough, unforgiving walls await our drivers. Until then, thank you very much, and this is goodbye.